praise in my belly, a fire in my bones. May have tears in my eyes, but trust me, man, ain't nothing wrong. I'm in my Z-O-N-E. I'm going home and I'm stress-free. I'm vibing on cloud 10, yeah, I'm smiling, no worries. No weapon form can hurt me. Spirit the man on that Hercules. I live good, so I feel good. I work the work, 'cause it works for me, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Hawker Heights, Copperas Cove, Nolanville, Temple, Belton. Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing this beautiful Texas morning, guys? How has this cold weather been treating you guys out here? It's been cold, but nevertheless, the sun is out. We woke up this morning. Praise God. Hallelujah. Thank God that we woke up this morning, and it is a beautiful day outside this morning. I hope you all are well. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you guys had a wonderful new year coming into this 2018. Okay. This is Kenesha Hay, your Texas real estate lady, here with all things real estate for you. Okay. So guys, we are still on the sellers. The seller side. Last week, sellers, we talked about the second negotiating process that we will go through when selling your home, which was the inspection slash repair negotiating time. So the inspector came out for the buyer, and they may have or they may not have found things that were wrong with the property, and you guys negotiated those terms of items that probably the inspector found that were needing repairs, right? So you guys have crossed that area, and you guys negotiated it. And now we're on to the next step. So I talked about last week also, guys, that the buyer can opt to terminate that option period early. So once their inspection period has went on, they found the areas that they wanted you guys to repair, sellers, then you guys negotiated it and you came to terms with that. So at that point, the buyer can opt to terminate that option period. They don't have to go through the whole period that you guys agreed upon. For instance, if you guys agreed upon 10 days or 15 days option period, if you guys were able to come to an agreement in 7 days, let's say, you guys can go ahead and opt to end that option period early. That way the buyer can go ahead and order the appraisal. So I know I talked about that last week. So here we are. We're going to touch on that now. Now that we're out of the option period, the buyer has given their mortgage company the go ahead and order the appraiser. Okay. So with that being said, the appraiser, what happens is the loan officer go ahead and order that appraiser. The appraiser then contacts the seller's agent, which I represent you sellers. So they'll contact me and say, hey, Kenesha, I'll be out at such and such date and time. What type of lockbox do you have on that house? And so from there, I'll let them know whether or not it's one of our Fort Hood area lock boxes, whether I have a combo lock box on the property for them to come out, and how they can gain access into the house. And then I'll go ahead and let you know, seller, what date and time the appraiser is coming out to that property, so you can make sure that the home is tidy up. I know I stress that a lot, but believe me, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So to make sure that you have that property market ready, so when the appraiser comes out, you know, it's a good look for you. All right. So I'll let you know that please be out of the house during that time that the appraiser is to come over and appraise the property. Okay. So that's where we left off at last week. All right, so now the appraiser comes and he's going to go in the attic. He's going to look at the roof. He's going to look at the whole area. He's going to measure the property to make sure the home, to know the square feet, the proper square feet of the house. Yes, we already have records of the square feet of the house. However, the appraiser has to do his own measurements to get to his number for the square feet of the house. And it may come in the same or maybe a number off or whatever, but they have to come in and do their own measurements, okay? Now, he does his measurements. What I like to do as your seller's agent is, like let's go back to when we first met and you told me about the upgrades that you've done to the house. I'll come again to you when it's time for the appraiser to come and I'll ask you, have there been any more upgrades that you've made to the house during this period of time that you have gotten the house market ready? And from there, I'll put together a list that I can have for the appraiser to know what upgrades you've made to this house since you've purchased it, okay? And also, I'll get some comparables ready for the appraiser, even though he's going to do his own research and get his own comparables, but I'll also go a step further and get those comparables for the appraiser, as well as a list of items in the home that you have upgraded. Okay, so i.e. if you've torn out the bathroom floor and put new flooring in, let's say your living room used to be carpet, but now you have tile floor, you have hardwood floor, I'll make sure I let the appraiser know that, okay? So those items, all right, so let me go. So we are on the third negotiating process, right? So the third negotiation process is the appraiser, as I've said. Who does the appraiser represent? They represent the mortgage company. So it's not about you seller, it's not about me, it's about what's best for the mortgage company. Okay, what is best for the mortgage company? And that's the reason the appraiser is out, to appraise this home to make sure that the mortgage company isn't coming in upside down. Makes sense, right? They're not coming in upside down, that they're not lending for a property that is not worth the amount that they're lending for. All right. So let's put that into layman's term. Let's put it into a term of us daily. Someone says, hey, I want to sell you this object, right? And then you know that this object is only worth $20. However, they want to sell it to you for $30. Does that make sense? Would you purchase something knowing that it's not worth what the amount that someone is trying to purchase, sell it to you for? So the appraiser is there to make sure that the mortgage company is not lending monies out for a piece of property that is not worth it. All right. So let's go back to when I first began the selling process with you, and I came out to your home, and you told me about the areas of the house that you've upgraded, and I'm doing the market analysis for you to get to that listing price. Okay, let's get this. I'm not an appraiser. Okay, I am a real estate agent, and I do the estimate for the listing price of the house. However, the appraiser is the final say so. He's the one who's going to come out and appraise the value of this house. As your agent, though, I do a CMA, a comparative market analysis of the property for the listing price of the property, and I get it to the value, the market value of what the market is seeing the value of the property is, okay? However, you have the appraiser that is the person that will come out and appraise the value of the house, that knows they put that dollar amount on there, this specific dollar amount on there. So me as your agent, I get it as close as possible as what the market is telling me that the house is worth. His value may be a little bit different here or there from mine. However, his value is his value. All right. And as I go on further on, I'll let you know what happens if our values don't match up, or if his value is less than what our sales price is. Okay, so moving right along, guys. They're going to come out, like I say, they're going to check the roof. They're going to check the different areas of the house. They're going to do their measurements of the property, and then from there they'll go back to wherever they go, and they'll do their research, because they do research on the market to get to that number. Okay. And once again, I am not an appraiser, so I can't give you appraisal advice. Okay. All right. So, yes, we priced the properties of your home when I first came out, and I get it as close as possible to that market value of what I believe the home should sell for. And from there, we listed your property. So now we're to the third negotiating phase, and the appraiser came out. Now, when the appraiser comes out and let's say he values the property at the value of the sales price, we had an offer that's for $100,000, right? And the appraiser said, yes, this home is valued at $100,000. Or let's even say he says the home is valued above $100,000. Wonderful. Kudos. Great. At that point, nothing else needs to happen. What will happen is the appraiser will send in that report to the mortgage lender. The mortgage lender will then send it to the underwriter, and the whole process continues to go on. And from there, after underwriting, the underwriter will say whether or not they need more documentation from the buyers or anything. But the once it gets to the underwriter, that's at that final process of the selling process or buying process, that now we will get that clear to close, right? And we move on to closing. Now, let's say, for instance, that the property does not appraise at or above the sales price value. If it gets to that point, that's when we have to do that third negotiating. Okay. Now, sellers, you have the choice to bring that sales price down to whatever that appraisal value is, right? So if the appraiser says that the value of this property is $98,000, right? Now, seller, you have to bring that property, that sales price down to $98,000, right? You have that choice. Or you can negotiate with the buyer and say, buyer, you bring the extra $2,000 to the table because I've done X, Y, and Z. I fixed this that you asked me to fix. I've agreed to pay your closing costs. I agreed to get the warranty for your house. Now the appraiser came in and said that the house valued about $2,000 less. If that's the case, you can ask the buyer, hey buyer, you bring that $2,000. I've spent over $12,000 already for you, or I've spent X, Y, and Z amount of dollars for you already. Can you fill that gap? Or another scenario is you and the buyer can agree to do half, right? So you bring $1,000, the buyer brings $1,000. You can agree there, or whatever amount that you guys want to agree on, right? You guys can come to a common agreement on getting to that $100,000 value, right? So once again, you can bring that sales price down to that $98,000, or you can ask the buyer to bring the additional $2,000, or you guys can split that however you want to split it. All right. Let's say you guys cannot agree on it. You cannot agree on who should do what. Then seller, please know that we've done all this work to get to this point, and the deal may not go through, because the mortgage company at the end of the day is not going to lend for more than the house is valued at. All right. So if that's the case, then the buyer may be able to walk away from the deal at this point and get their earnest money back. Okay. And then the deal just goes away. They'll get their earnest money back, and then you can put the house back on the market if you like, and hope that someone else comes along and purchases that $100,000. But once again, we'll still, if another appraiser comes out, or if that same appraiser comes back out that appraise that house, appraise your house for that buyer, and they say the same thing, and depending on the time period in which you get another offer, they may come back at that same value. Because remember, that report comes by what the market is saying the house is worth. Okay, so if it's within like a month or two after this deal fell through, chances are you're going to get an appraised value as the same as this value was. Now, you do have the choice also, if you and the buyer and the mortgage company come to an agreement that, hey, you know what, this house is worth, I believe this house is worth what we say the sales price is. Then it's a way that you guys can go back and ask the appraiser, can you reevaluate this property? Look at this property that sold for X, Y, and Z, and this and that and that and this. Give him more market research, right? And then there's a chance that he may reevaluate that appraisal. Now, are we saying that he has to, or it's gonna happen? It's slim to none. It's slim to none. I know some lenders have told me that they've tried it before and the chances have been zero that the appraiser goes back, because remember, they do research. They do research, and this is what they do all day, every day. So if they come to this value, then they didn't just make it up out of their heads or out of the sky. It's what the market value is saying your house is valued at. Okay, so when I came to your house initially, and if I told you, hey guys, I think your home should be listed at 95, 97,000, around that, but you insisted on it being at 100,000, and the appraiser comes out and he say, hey, your appraised value is at 98,000, then it's like, I kind of told you that it was going to be around that value. And even if I was wrong and I say, hey, yeah, go ahead at $100,000, still, the appraiser is the last say so in this value of your property. Okay, so if it comes in at that value, it's either you're going to have to come down to meet that appraised value, or you guys are going to have to come to a negotiating result of agreements to make up that difference. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, so moving right along. Yeah, so your appraiser will come out. So sellers, we're almost done. We're going to get this house appraised at the value of the sales price, hopefully. Hey, if it doesn't appraise at that value, we'll have to get it down to that value what the appraiser is saying it is, or we're going to have to negotiate down to that value some way, because that's a lot of work that we have put in for us to only get down to that last part and just let it fall apart. All right, so we will have to work some numbers and get it in there to the best of our ability. Okay, and then from there, guys, let's go through the process of what happens next after the appraiser comes in and it goes to the underwriter. Then the underwriter would say whether or not they need more documents from the buyers, or if it's just clear to close. If the deal is clear to close, because we've done everything else. And typically, the appraiser is like the last thing we wait on, because like I said in my last video, it's a time frame that it takes for the appraiser to come out. And during the busy seasons of the year, like during the spring and the summer, it may take the appraiser the full length of time to come out, right? So by that time, the loan officer and the processor and all them, they've gotten whatever documents they needed from the buyer, typically during that time frame while we were waiting on the appraiser to come out. So by the time the appraiser comes out, we're pretty much at the end of the deal. We're pretty much at the end of the deal. So that's where we all have to come together, put on our thinking caps, because we know that the buyer has not came this far. We know that you have not came this far for it just to terminate like that. All right. So during the process, me as your agent will work myself to the bone if possible, or if needed, to make sure that your house closes for you. If we've done all this work, me and my loan officer and the other agent, we will work ourselves to make sure that this deal does not fall through, okay? But we need all parties involved to work this together, okay? We all have to come together and make sure that this deal works, because we've done enough work and a lot of work, and we're days away from closing. At this point, we're pretty much at least 3 days out from closing. Okay, so let's do what we have to do to get this home closed. We've come this far, guys. We've come this far. All right, we've come this far. So if it's just a few dollars off, let's negotiate it. Let's go back to the table and let's work our numbers and see what we can do to get you to closing. All right. So it sounded like it was a whole lot, sellers. It sounded like this whole process was a lot, but actually it moves like 30 to 45 days. So all these weeks of what I've been talking about for you sellers, now we're to the closing time. All right. And we had our title company come out a few weeks ago to let you guys know about the title search, the title policy and everything, right? So now here we are, we're going to be at the title company, right? Getting ready for closing. So once we get that final clear to close from the underwriter, guys, we're going to be setting a date for closing and getting you guys out of this house into your next endeavor in life. Okay. And I am excited to be your seller's agent. Okay. I'm excited. I'm so happy that you listened to everything that I've told you, right? From the time where we met up, we sat together and we did our comparative market analysis. I've walked your home. I've put my sign out. You've decluttered the house. Kudos to you. You've done your curb appeal. You have that front yard looking outstanding. You've had buyers come by for your open house and they loved your house. They gave you a great offer for the property. Okay. You did those things that I've asked you to do. You kept the house clean. You repaired those items. You got the inspector to come out ahead of time and seen the items that needed to be repaired in the house. You got those things repaired. We got that offer in. They got their inspector to come out, but guess what? You had your inspector come out prior to. You knew what was wrong with the house, or you knew if anything needed to be repaired, and you got it done already, seller. You got it done already. So when it came time for their inspector to come, maybe it was a couple things that they asked for on the list, but guess what? You negotiated that like a champ. You negotiated that. And you got past that phase, that second negotiating phase, right? And then from there, the appraiser came out, right? And the appraiser appraised your home, right? And then now we've moved on to the next step where the underwriter has given us a clear to close. So throughout all that 30 to 45 days of living like, okay, everything needs to be clean. Everything needs to be this way. Everything needs 30 to 45 days. Now you've gotten to your end goal, seller. You have gotten to that end goal where you hear those 3 magical words, clear to close. Okay. So congratulations. You are clear to close. That means I will get with the title company and see what date that your closing date will be. All right. We'll set that time, coordinate that time, sellers, right? The buyers will more than likely ask for another day to come out right before closing to go through the house and make sure the house has been cleaned. You know, all your furniture and things are out of the house. Make sure those items from the repair amendment that you say you were going to fix are fixed and repaired, and whatever needs to be replaced, that it is replaced. So they'll do a final walkthrough of the house. So during that period of time, sellers, I'll let you know, hey guys, please get the house ready, get your stuff out because closing date is blah, blah, blah date and blah, blah, blah time. Okay, the buyers are planning on walking back through again at a certain date and time, right? And then from there, you meet me at the title company with your keys. And that same day, I'll come and I'll get my yard sign out of your yard. I'll get my lockbox off your door, get the keys out of there. I'll bring those keys also to closing. Okay. And typically the seller goes first for the signing. But, you know, let's say you work late and you have to come in the afternoon, but the buyer could come in the morning. It doesn't matter. You guys don't have to be there at the same time. You do not have to be there at the same time to sign at closing. Okay. And for my sellers that are out of town, but you have a house here locally, the title company will send you your documents. We will let them know in advance that you're not here locally, and they will send you your documents for you to sign. Okay, and then you will overnight it back to the title company, and we get everything closed. Okay, guys. So my sellers, congratulations and thank you. Thank you for cooperating with me. Thank you for listening to me. Okay, we have a clear to close for your house. Okay, we have a clear to close for your house, and you just come now to the closing table and you sign those documents. And title is going to go over every piece of document with you that you're signing. You're not going to be signing in the dark and not knowing what you're signing. You know, you're going to know exactly what you're signing, and it's going to be at the price that you guys agreed upon. Every negotiation that you guys have done and agreed upon, that's what you will be signing for. Okay? And now you get to move on to the next endeavor in your life, sellers. Okay? So it may have seemed like it was a long process, but it's not. 30 to 45 days, it's not. It's really not, you know. So congratulations, sellers, and I thank you for trusting in me and selling your home. This is Kenesha Hay, your Texas real estate lady. Your Texas real estate lady. Check me out on Facebook, on my Texas Real Estate Lady Facebook page. Check me out on Twitter, Kenesha Hay, Instagram, Texas Real Estate Lady, or Kenesha Hay. Anyone that you want to look up, I'm on there. Okay. And next Saturday, I will be here live and in living color speaking with you guys again. All right. So once again, sellers, congratulations. You have clear to close on your property. And I appreciate your business. And I appreciate you entrusting your Texas real estate lady. And y'all have a safe and beautiful week. A very beautiful week, guys. Okay. Y'all have fun this week and take care of each other.